All right, I'm going to say Libra rising and sun. So for you guys, this Taurus new moon that's happening on May 7th is taking place in your 8th house. And this one I see as primarily associated with manifesting something that we really want, but needing to also be quite patient and take the action consistently in order to do so. So for you guys, with this being in the 8th house, there's something here about likely having a desire for some kind of refresh in your life. I did pull the dead end card, and the 8th house is often associated with death and rebirth. So it's giving me this feeling that like there's a desire to maybe put something to rest or tie up loose ends or psychologically kind of move past something that feels like it's been maybe holding you back in some kind of way. It feels like there's something in your life that isn't serving you, that is some kind of dead end. And this can be so many things. I don't even want to narrow it down really, but I'm just going to come up with an example. Because the 8th house is often associated with things from the past and things that make us feel insecure, there could be some kind of situation or something that you have kind of allowed to like dictate how you feel. Maybe you have wanted to feel really confident in your career, but then there were times when something in the past, somebody told you you're not smart at that, you're not good at that, and those kind of insecurities and fears got swept up into your mind and afflicted you. So there's this, basically, that's just an example, but basically there's an idea of something psychological needing to be reset for you in order for you to feel like you are freed of this kind of chaos. You can literally see, it looks like this person is like wrapped in vines or all these loose threads, or not loose threads, these tight threads. And it's almost like you need to be able to kind of pull yourself. Sorry, someone's in my front yard. Okay, sorry, I think somebody threw like a ball into my tree in my front yard. One sec. Okay, so I went outside and somebody got a frisbee stuck in my tree, and then they tried to throw their shoe at it to get it out of the tree, and then their shoe got stuck, and then they threw their other shoe, and then their other shoe got stuck. So now my tree is collecting their garbage. Okay, little distracting, but let's get back to what I was saying. So I feel like there is something in your life that, like I've mentioned, was kind of like choking you in some way. The 8th house and this imagery very much reminds me of the 8 of Swords. It's something like getting in your way psychologically that I think you are moving past at the time of this new moon, and kind of opening you up to feeling just more free and uninhibited, because this new moon is also conjunct Jupiter and Uranus, which is all about shaking ourselves free from something and doing things in a different way, feeling like we can kind of progress a lot faster, or we can, just like be creative and unique in the way that we're moving about things. And so I feel like if you have been kind of bumping up against a similar issue again and again, especially psychologically, I see yourself approaching it differently or doing something different in your routine that's ultimately going to help you psychologically move past this. And I do think it relates to work, health, and your routines in some way, because this new moon is sextiling Saturn in your 6th house. So this is very much about like changing something about your daily life. Like if you, for example, you find that you're not as confident. Maybe you are wanting to pursue something in your life, but you're not as confident. Well, this new moon is asking you to maybe meditate every day and add something new to your routine that way that can help you kind of work through some things that you are dealing with psychologically or emotionally. So there is basically an energy around that with the Saturn energy where it is very much a work energy, because 6th house is like our daily jobs, our daily tasks. And I did pull 2 cards that very much have this kind of entrepreneurial financially savvy message to them. And that might also be something that you are moving towards as well, is like, okay, I want to look at investments and maybe buying a house or doing something that involves taking on debt, which is a very 8th house topic, or merging with somebody else. So that could also be happening in terms of work things. So I feel like you guys are coming into maybe a more financially sound place and a more confident space as well. But there is something here where I feel like there's a part of you that's like practical and wants to like make money and wants to be stable. And then there's another part of you that I feel like is really passionate and has like a creative inspiration, or I don't know, like I feel like there's two different sides of you. One that's more driven by emotion and creation and passion, and the other that's more driven by logistics, what makes sense, like let's be cautious and safe. And I feel that there are two sides of you that are kind of like competing, or they're needing to be balanced in some way, with this Hangman between these two cards and then the 2 swords after them. There's something here where I feel like, I don't know, I feel like there's a really strong message, but it's almost like it's a little out of grasp, out of reach for me. One of the things that's coming to mind with the King of Wands being first is that you have been someone that maybe has led with your passions. Maybe you have been someone that is not, the King of Wands is able to control those passions. They're not like driven by them necessarily. But there's a sense of like, I'm going to make a living off of this, or I'm going to prioritize that, I'm going to prioritize what my vision and the way that I want to lead my life through inspiration. And I feel like that has really served you, but also with this Hanged Man card right after it, I don't know, it feels like there's something shifting in the way that you view things or the way that you do things that is going to likely affect your work and your financial life. Because there's something about this like creative and passionate and leadership energy where you are maybe like, a boss or an entrepreneur, or you've been wanting to do something on your own, or you've been really like in your confidence trying to accomplish something. I feel like that's worked for you, but I don't know, maybe something is shifting about what you really desire, or maybe you are shifting as a person, or maybe like that has played its course and now you're trying to add on something else, and you're coming up with like a new perspective now. It's like you're not just this kind of boss energy. It's coming into the King of Pentacles, which still has boss energy, but it's in a different way. It's like I mentioned, it's not just about like your vision and like this thing that you're working towards on a mission, but it's also about security, and it's about cultivating abundance and being disciplined and being practical and realistic, like really focusing on the logistics side of things. And I feel like there's something about your focus that's shifting around that, because the 8th house is a very financially savvy house. The 6th house is a house of work. Both of these are very involved in this new moon. And so I feel like, I don't know, there's just something going on here with the shift. Again, I feel like I can't quite grasp it totally in terms of maybe an example, but I would love to hear, if this resonates with you, what that looks like in your life, or what that looks like for you. But this 2 swords, it feels more like the 2 of Pentacles, where you're having to make decisions, and usually this is about choices, like I'm going to do this or that. And so there might be times where you're kind of choosing between which energy you're going to be in, and you might be shifting more into the King of Pentacles, where you are a little bit more like practical, and you're focusing more on like money instead of like the passion and the vision and what you're doing this for and your purpose. Feels like you're like focusing on what makes sense, in your life, to set yourself up for retirement, to set yourself up for success. And so in that way, I do feel like it's a choice, but I also feel like you're balancing both. I don't think you're necessarily going to just leave behind your King of Wands. But this might have led you in some way to like a dead end, or it might have felt like you kind of like in the dead end in the sense that you went the whole path and that was as far as you could go, and there's not a lot more that you could do with that energy. And it was like, okay, now if we want to build something really stable and real and long lasting, now we have to do it from a different perspective. Now we have to save more money. Now we have to charge more to our clients. Now we have to ask to get a raise or whatever that is. And if there were insecurities and things getting in your way of doing that, I feel like that's something that you're gonna that you're gonna address, and you're not gonna compromise on it. We also have Mercury and Chiron in the North Node in Aries in your 7th house. So there may be some level of kind of like mental anguish that comes with this transit for everybody. And for you, this is happening in the area of relationships, client or romantic or personal relationships, or contracts. So like with a business, for example, and with a company you work for. So there could be something that's making you nervous or overthink in the area of relationships. And it might be like, it's just worthwhile to note that this is not something to grasp onto. This is not something that we really have to like, I don't know. It's like I feel like this is us making mountains out of molehills. And so don't worry about it if that helps. This could also create some weird communication with people, but also breakthroughs at the same time, like addressing things that need to be brought up from the past, but then it really helps to do so. So yeah, there's a lot to say around this new moon, but I'm going to leave it at that. So if this resonates, I'd love to hear your comments down below. If you want a reading from me, I am now offering 2 new readings, a medical astrology and a fertility reading. So if you want help with any ailments that you have or to get pregnant, definitely hit me up. And you can find my website, cosmicclarity.astrology.com. I'll link that down below. Don't forget to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, share with your friends, and have a great day. Okay, bye.